You see, the way you talk to yourself is not mere idle chatter or inconsequential noise. No, my friends, it is the very foundation upon which your reality is built. Let us begin by understanding the true nature of your being. You are not merely a physical body, bound by the limitations of time and space. You are in essence pure consciousness, the one and only reality. Everything you perceive in your world, everything you experience, is a projection of this consciousness. And the primary tool through which you shape this consciousness is your self-talk. Now you might be thinking, but Neville, surely my circumstances, my past experiences, my current situation, these are real and separate from my thoughts. To this I say, look closer. What you perceive as external reality is nothing more than the outpicturing of your infixations. Your self-talk is the chisel with which you sculpt your life experiences. Consider for a moment the last time you achieved something remarkable. Perhaps it was a promotion at work, a personal milestone, or overcoming a significant challenge. Before that achievement manifested in your physical reality, did you not first conceive of it in your mind? Did you not engage in inner conversations where you saw yourself succeeding, where you felt the joy and satisfaction of your accomplishment? This, my friends, is the power of self-talk. It is the seed from which your reality grows. Just as a farmer must first plant a seed become harvest a Klöße, so too must plant the seeds of your desires through your inner conversation before you can reap the joy in your external world. But let us deeper into this concept. How exactly does one harness the power of self-talk to turn dreams into reality? The answer lies in understanding and applying the law of assumption. This law states that if you assume a certain state to be true, it must become true in your experience. Your self-talk is the primary means through which you make these assumptions. When you consistently talk to yourself as if your desire is already fulfilled, when you engage in inner conversations from the perspective of already being the person you wish to be, having what you wish to have, doing what you wish to do, you are applying the law of assumption in its most potent form. Imagine, if you will, that you desire financial abundance. The common approach might be to affirm, I will be wealthy someday, or money is coming to me. But do you see the flaw in this approach? It places your desire in some indefinite future, reinforcing your current state of lack. Instead, your self-talk should reflect the state of already being financially abundant. Engage in inner conversations where you discuss your wealth with others. Feel the relief and joy of having more than enough. Experience in your imagination the freedom that comes with financial security. This is not mere positive thinking or wishful daydreaming. This is the deliberate use of your imagination, which is nothing less than God in action within you, to reshape your consciousness and consequently your reality. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, what if my current circumstances seem to contradict the reality I'm trying to create through my self-talk? This, my dear friends, is where faith comes into play. Faith is not blind belief in something despite that evidence to the contrary. True faith is the evidence of things not seen in the physical world, but felt and experienced vividly in your imagination. When you engage in self-talk that aligns with your desires, when you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you must have got complete in the reality of your imaginal acts. You must know with unwavering certainty that what you have experienced in your imagination is more real, more true than what your physical senses currently report. This faith, this knowing, is what bridges the gap between your current circumstances and your desired reality. It allows you to persist in your assumption even when the outer world seems to contradict it. For remember, the outer world is nothing more than a shadow, a reflection of your inner state. Change the inner and the outer must conform. Let us now explore the practical application of this principle. How does one cultivate self-talk that turns dreams into reality? The first step is to become aware of your current inner conversations. For many, the self-talk happens unconsciously, a constant stream of thoughts and assumptions that often reinforce limiting beliefs and unwanted circumstances. Begin by observing your thoughts without judgment. Notice the tone of your inner voice, the words you use when talking to yourself about your desires, your capabilities, your worth. Are these conversations aligned with the reality you wish to be? Or do they reflect doubt, fear, or limitation? Once you become aware of your current self-talk patterns, you can begin to consciously shape them. This is where the art of revision comes into play. Revision is not about denying or suppressing your current thoughts. It's about consciously choosing new thoughts, new inner conversations that align with your desired reality. For instance, if you catch yourself thinking, "I'm not good enough to achieve this," revise it immediately. Engage in a new inner conversation where you confidently assert your capabilities. Feel the truth of your worthiness, your ability to achieve anything you set your mind to. Remember, my dear friends, you are not lying to yourself when you do this. You are choosing to align yourself with a higher truth, the truth of your unlimited potential as a divine being. You are choosing to identify with your true self rather than the limited ego self that is bound by past experiences and societal conditioning. As you practice this conscious revision of your self-talk, you'll begin to notice a shift in your emotional state. You'll feel more confident, more aligned with your desires. This emotional shift is crucial, for it is your feeling that gives life to your thoughts. It is the feeling that impresses your subconscious mind and sets in motion the creation of your new reality. Now let us address another crucial aspect of effective self-talk, the use of I am statements. The words I am are incredibly powerful, for they are the name of God within you. Whatever follows I am in your self-talk becomes your reality, for you are quite literally naming yourself into existence. When you say I am tired, I am broke, I am unlucky, you are creating and reinforcing those states in your experience. Conversely, when you declare I am successful, I am abundant, I am loved, you are calling those realities into being. But here's the key, these I am statements must be more than mere words. They must be felt, experienced, embodied. When you declare I am wealthy, feel the emotions associated with wealth. Experience the sense of security, the joy of abundance, the freedom to live life on your own terms. This feeling, this emotional embodiment of your desire is what gives power to your self-talk. It is what makes your inner conversations creative rather than just descriptive. For remember, your subconscious mind does not distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what you actually experience in the physical world. To your subconscious, they are one and the same. Now, my friends, I want to address a common pitfall that many fall into when attempting to change their self-talk. They try to force positive thoughts, to suppress negative ones through sheer willpower. But this approach often leads to inner conflict and frustration. Instead, I propose a gentler and more effective method. Rather than fighting against unwanted thoughts, simply redirect your attention to your desired state. Engage in inner conversations that reflect your wish fulfilled. Do this not with strain or effort, but with the relaxed assurance that what you are imagining is already yours in reality. This level of attention is key. For what you focus on expands, and what you withdraw your attention from withers away. By consistently directing your attention through your self-talk to your desired reality, you starve the unwanted conditions of the energy they need to persist in your experience. Remember, the aim is not to never have a negative thought. The aim is to cultivate a new pattern of thinking, a new habitual way of talking to yourself that aligns with your desires. This takes practice and persistence, but with time it becomes as natural as breathing. Let us delve deeper into the concept of living from the end. This principle is crucial in shaping your self-talk to turn your dreams into reality. Living from the end means assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, engaging in inner conversations, as if your desire has already manifested. For instance, if your dream is to become a successful author, your self-talk should reflect the state of already being a successful author. Instead of saying, I hope to be a best-selling author someday, your inner conversations might sound like this. I'm so grateful for the success of my latest book. It's wonderful to receive messages from readers about how my words have impacted their lives. Do you see the difference? In the first instance, you're placing your desire in some indefinite future. In the second, you're experiencing it as a present reality. This is living from the end, and it is one of the most powerful ways to use self-talk to shape your reality. But remember, this is not about deceiving yourself or denying your current circumstances. It's about choosing which reality you give your attention and emotional energy to. It's about aligning your consciousness with the version of you who has already achieved your dreams. As you practice living from the end in your self-talk, you may notice resistance arising. Old beliefs and doubts may surface, questioning the validity of your new inner conversations. This is natural and to be expected. These old patterns of thought have been with you for a long time, and they don't disappear overnight. The key is to persist in your new assumption, regardless of this resistance. Treat these doubts and contradictory thoughts as you would treat background noise. Acknowledge their presence, but don't give them your attention or emotional energy. Instead, gently but firmly return to your desired state, to the inner conversations that reflect your wish fulfilled. Now, my dear friends, I want to address the role of action in turning your dreams into a signal through self-talk. Some might think that if they change their inner conversations, they can sit back and wait for their desires to magically appear. But this is not the case. Action is indeed necessary, but it's important to understand the nature of this action. When you've truly changed your self-talk, when you fully assume the state of your fulfilled, you'll find yourself naturally inspired to take actions that align with your new reality. These actions won't feel like hard work or struggle. They'll feel natural, almost effortless, because they're in harmony with your new state of being. You'll find yourself in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people, noticing opportunities that you might have overlooked before. This is the difference between action born of anxiety and lack and action inspired by your assumed state of fulfillment. The former is often frantic and ineffective. The latter is purposeful and powerful because it comes from a place of alignment with your desire. Let your self-talk guide your actions. If you're assuming the state of being a successful entrepreneur, for example, ask yourself, what would a successful entrepreneur have done in this situation? Let the answer guide your actions. This way, our world begins to align with your inner conversations. Now let's explore another powerful aspect of self-talk, the use of gratitude. Gratitude is not just a pleasant emotion. It is a powerful creative force. When you express gratitude in your inner conversations, you are essentially saying to the universe, thank you for this experience. I am ready to receive more. Incorporate gratitude into your self-talk by regularly engaging in inner conversations where you express thankfulness for your desires as if they have already manifested. Feel the emotion of gratitude as vividly as you can. This feeling of gratitude, combined with the assumption of your wish fulfilled, creates a powerful magnetic force, those that draws your desires into your physical reality. For instance, if your dream is to own a beautiful home, your grateful self-talk might sound like this. I am so thankful for this beautiful home. I love the sunlight streams through the windows in the morning. I'm grateful for the peace and comfort I feel here. As you practice this grateful self-talk, you'll notice a shift in your overall state of being. You'll begin to feel more positive, more open to receiving good things in your life. This positive state, in turn, attracts more experience to be grateful for, creating a beautiful cycle of abundance and appreciation. Now, my friends, let us address a common challenge that many face when attempting to change their self-talk, the influence of others. You may find that as you begin to speak to yourself in a new way, assume a state of fulfillment and success, those around you might react with skepticism or even negativity. It's important to remember that others can only ever reflect back to you your own conception of yourself. Their reactions are based on their perception of you, which is in turn based on your past expression. As you change your self-concept through your new self-talk, there may be a period of adjustment where others' perceptions seem to contradict your new state. During this time, it's crucial to persist in your assumption. Continue your new pattern self-talk, regardless of external circumstances, or others' opinions. Remember, you are not changing yourself to conform to the world. You are changing your self-concept, and the world must conform to it. In your interactions with others, maintain inner conversations that align with your desired reality. Even if someone expresses doubt about your ability to achieve your dreams, inwardly assert your new state. Your inner conversation might go something like this: I appreciate their concern, but I know the truth of who I am and what I'm capable of achieving. This persistence in your new self-talk, especially in the face of contradictory circumstances, is what ultimately reshapes your reality. It's the bridge between your current state and your desired state. It's the means by which you impress your subconscious mind with the truth of your newty. Now let us delve into another powerful technique for effective self-talk: the use of questions. The questions you ask yourself shape your focus and consequently your reality. By asking empowering questions in your self-talk, you direct your mind towards solutions and possibilities rather than problems and limitations. For instance, instead of asking yourself, why can't I achieve this? Ask, how can I achieve this in a way that's even better than I imagined? Instead of wondering, what if I fail? Ask yourself, how will I feel when I succeed? These empowering questions stimulate your creativity and open your mind to new possibilities. They assume the possibility of success and direct your focus towards achieving it. Make it a habit to consciously shape the questions you ask yourself in your inner dialogue. Remember, my dear friends, the quality of your life is directly related to the quality of questions you ask yourself. By asking better questions, you engage in more empowering self-talk, which in turn shapes a more empowering reality. Now let us address the concept of patience in relation to your self-talk. Often, when people begin to change their inner conversations, they expect immediate results in their outer world. When these results don't manifest instantly, they may become discouraged and revert to their old patterns of thinking. But remember, just as seed needs time to germinate and grow before it bears fruit, so too does your new self-talk need time to fully manifest in your physical reality. The key is to persist in your assumption, to maintain your new pattern of inner conversation regardless of appearances. This persistence is not about forcing or straining. It's about relaxing into the naturalness of your new state. It's about knowing with unshakable faith that what you have assumed in your imagination and your self-talk must inevitably manifest in your experience. In your self-talk, cultivate an attitude of calm assurance. Instead of anxiously wondering when your desire will manifest, engage in inner conversations that reflect the certainty of its fulfillment. Your self-talk might sound something like this: I'm so grateful that everything always works out perfectly for me. I trust in the perfect timing of the universe. This attitude of trust and assurance in your self-talk creates a state of relaxed receptivity. It allows you to go about your daily life from a place of peace and confidence, knowing that your desire is already yours in reality and must inevitably express itself in your physical experience. Now, my beloved audience, as we near the conclusion of our discussion, I want to emphasize the importance of consistency in your self-talk. Changing your inner conversations is not a one-time event, but a continuous practice. It's about cultivating a new habit of thought, a new way of communing with yourself and with the divine power within you. Make it a point to consciously check in with your self-talk throughout the day. Notice the tone, the words, the underlying assumptions in your inner conversations. Are they aligned with your desires? Are they reflecting the state of your wish fulfilled? If not, gently but firmly redirect them. Remember, you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind the thoughts, the one who can choose which thoughts to entertain and which to let go. This power of choice is your divine birthright, and exercising it through conscious self-talk is one of the most powerful ways to shape your reality. As you consistently practice this new way of talking to yourself, you'll begin to notice changes not just in your inner world, but in your outer experiences as well. Opportunities will seem to arise out of nowhere. Synchronicities will become more frequent. You'll find yourself naturally taking actions that align with your desired reality. These outer changes are the natural result of your inner transformation. They are the physical manifestation of the new state you have assumed through your self-talk. Celebrate these changes, for they are proof of the power of your inner conversations. In conclusion, my dear friends, remember that your self-talk is the most intimate and powerful conversation you will ever have. It is the means by which you communicate with the divine power within you, the creative force that shapes your reality. Choose your words wisely. Speak to yourself with love, with confidence, with unwavering faith in your ability to achieve your dreams. Engage in inner conversations that reflect the reality you wish to experience. Live from the end in your self-talk, assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. And above all, persist. Persist in your new assumptions. Persist in your empowering self-talk. Persist in your faith that what you have imagined and felt to be true must inevitably manifest in your experience. For you are not merely human beings subject to the whims of chance and circumstance. You are divine beings, co-creators with the infinite power of the universe. Your self-talk is your tool of creation, your means of shaping your reality according to your desires. Go forth now, not as seekers of your dreams, but as conscious creators of your reality. For the power to turn your dreams into reality lies not in some external force, but in the words you speak to yourself, in the inner conversations you chose to entertain. Thank you for your attention, my friends. May your journey of self-discovery through conscious self be filled with joy, wonder, and the continual unfolding of your infinite potential. The world as you know it is not what it appears to be. What you call reality is nothing more than the outward expression of your inner beliefs, your inner conversations, your inner assumptions about yourself and your world. Every single thing you experience, every circumstance, every condition, every relationship, every success, every failure, all of it is the inevitable result of what you have assumed to be true about yourself and your life. Now, I know what you are thinking. You are looking at your present circumstances, perhaps filled with challenges, with difficulties, with what appears to be evidence to the contrary of what I am telling you. You point to your bank account, to your relationships, to your health, to your career, and you say, but Neville, look at my life. How can you tell me that everything works out for me when I can clearly see that it does not? And this is precisely where most people remain trapped, my friends. They look at the world of effects and try to change the effects. They look at their circumstances and try to manipulate their circumstances. They look at their conditions and try to alter their conditions through physical effort alone. But I tell you now, as clearly as I can, you cannot change your life by changing your circumstances. You can only change your circumstances by changing your life from within. The secret that I am sharing with you tonight is this: you must learn to live from the assumption that everything always works out for you, regardless of what your senses are telling you, regardless of what your past experience has been, regardless of what others are telling you is possible or impossible. You must take on the feeling, the inner knowing, the absolute certainty that you are the kind of person for whom things work out magnificently. This is not positive thinking, my friends. This is not mere optimism or hope or wishful thinking. This is something far more powerful and far more practical. This is the recognition and the application of the fundamental law of consciousness, that consciousness is the only reality, and that what you are conscious of being, you become. When I tell you to act as if everything always works out for you, I am asking you to take on a new identity, a new conception of yourself. I am asking you to become the person who naturally expects good things to happen, who naturally assumes that doors will open, that opportunities will present themselves, that solutions will appear, that people will help them, that circumstances will align in their favor. But here's what most people do not understand. This assumption, this inner knowing, this feeling of being someone for whom everything works out, this must become as natural to you as breathing. It cannot be something you put on like a coat when you remember to do so. It cannot be something you practice only when you are in a good mood or when things are going well. It must become your very nature, your default state of being, your automatic response to every situation that presents itself in your life. Let me tell you how this works in practical terms. When you truly embody the assumption that everything always works out for you, your entire relationship with life changes. When a challenge presents itself, instead of immediately going into fear, worry, or anxiety, you find yourself naturally assuming that this challenge is simply a bridge to something better, the pathway to a greater good, the necessary step in the unfolding of your greater success. When an opportunity appears to be delayed or denied, instead of feeling defeated or discouraged, you automatically know that something even better is being prepared for you, that the delay is actually divine timing working in your favor, that what appeared to be a closed door was simply redirecting you toward an open door that leads to something far more wonderful than you had originally imagined. When people seem to oppose you or circumstances seem to work against you, instead of taking it personally or feeling victimized, you instinctively understand that these apparent obstacles are actually the resistance that is strengthening you, the friction that is polishing you, the very forces that are sculpting you into the person you need to become to receive what you truly desire. This assumption that everything always works out for you becomes a lens through which you see all of life. It becomes the filter through which you interpret every experience. It becomes the foundation upon which you build every decision, every action, every response to whatever life presents to you. Now you may ask, but Neville, how do I develop this assumption when my experience has been different? How do I convince myself that everything works out for me when I can point to numerous examples in my past where things definitely did not work out the way I wanted them to? This is the crucial point, my friends. You cannot build this assumption by looking backward. You cannot create this new identity by examining your past. The past is dead. The past has no power except the power you give it by continuing to live from it, by continuing to use it as evidence for what is possible or impossible in your future. To develop this assumption, you must live from the end. You must live from the feeling of being someone for whom everything always works out. You must imagine how it would feel to wake up each morning with the absolute certainty that this day will bring you exactly what you need for your highest good. You must imagine how it would feel to approach each challenge with the inner knowing that this challenge is actually an opportunity in disguise. You must imagine how it would feel to interact with others from the assumption that they too are part of the perfect unfolding of your life. This feeling, this assumption, this inner knowing, this is what you must cultivate and practice until it becomes as natural to you as your own heartbeat. And the beautiful thing is, the moment you begin to live from this assumption, life begins to rearrange itself to match your assumption. The moment you begin to act as if everything always works out for you, everything begins to work out for you. But remember, my friends, this is not magic in the sense that you can live carelessly or irresponsibly and expect everything to magically fall into place. When I say everything always works out for you, I mean that when you live from this assumption, you will find yourself naturally making better decisions, naturally taking inspired action, naturally attracting the right people and opportunities, naturally being in the right place at the right time. The person who truly believes that everything always works out for them does not sit passively waiting for good things to happen. They move through life with confidence and purpose. They take action from a place of faith rather than fear. They speak up when they need to speak up. They pursue opportunities that align with their vision. They persist when others would give up. Not because they are forcing something to happen, but because they know that their persistence will lead them to exactly where they need to be. This assumption affects every area of your life. In your relationships, when you assume that everything always works out for you, you stop trying to control or manipulate others. You stop taking their behavior personally. You stop assuming the worst about their intentions. Instead, you naturally trust that the right people will be drawn to you, that conflicts will resolve in everyone's highest good, that love will find you and flourish in your life, in your career. When you assume that everything always works out for you, you stop competing from a place of scarcity. You stop fearing that there is not enough success to go around. You stop believing that you have to sacrifice your integrity or your well-being to achieve your goals. Instead, you naturally move toward opportunities that are aligned with your values and your vision. You trust that your unique talents and contributions will be recognized and rewarded. You know that the right career path will unfold before you. In your finances, when you assume that everything always works out for you, you stop operating from fear and lack. You stop making decisions based on what you cannot afford. You stop believing that money is scarce or that you are not worthy of abundance. Instead, you naturally make wise financial decisions from a place of confidence and faith. You trust that money will flow to you in perfect timing and in perfect amounts to support your highest good. In your health, when you assume that everything always works out for you, you stop fearing illness and aging. You stop assuming that your body is working against you. You stop believing that you are victim to genetics or circumstances beyond your control. Instead, you naturally make choices that support your vitality and well-being. You trust that your body has infinite wisdom and healing capacity. You know that you can maintain radiant health throughout your life. The key to making this assumption real in your life is to start living from it right now, regardless of what your current circumstances appear to be. Do not wait for evidence that everything is working out for you before you begin to assume that everything always works out for you. That is backward thinking. The evidence will follow the assumption, not the other way around. Start today by catching yourself when you begin to worry, doubt, or fear. In those moments, gently remind yourself, I am someone for whom everything always works out. Do not try to figure out how it will work out. Do not try to force a specific outcome. Simply rest in the knowing that it will work out, and that it will work out in a way that is for your highest good, even if it is not exactly the way you originally imagined. Start today by interpreting every experience through this new lens. When something appears to go wrong, ask yourself, how might this actually be working out for me? When an opportunity is delayed, ask yourself, what better opportunity might this delay be making room for? When someone disappoints you, ask yourself, how might this be protecting me or redirecting me towards something better? Start today by making decisions from this assumption. Instead of asking, what if this doesn't work out? Ask yourself, since I know this will work out for my highest good, what action feels most aligned and inspired? Instead of planning for failure, plan for success. Instead of protecting yourself from disappointment, open yourself to possibilities that exceed your current imagination. The transformation that occurs when you truly live from this assumption is nothing short of miraculous. You will find that anxiety and worry naturally fall away because there is no longer anything to worry about. You will find that decision-making becomes easier because you trust that any sincere decision will lead you to where you need to be. You will find that relationships improve because you are no longer trying to control outcomes or protect yourself from disappointment. You will also find that opportunities begin to appear that you never could have planned for or even imagined. Doors open that you did not even know existed. People enter your life who contribute to your success and happiness in ways you never expected. Resources become available exactly when you need them. Solutions present themselves for problems that once seemed insurmountable. This is not coincidence, my friends. This is law. This is the natural result of living from the assumption that everything always works out for you. When you embody this assumption, you literally become a magnet for good fortune, for right timing, for perfect synchronicities, for what others call luck, but what you will recognize as the inevitable outworking of your inner conviction. But perhaps most importantly, when you live from this assumption, you discover a peace and a joy that is independent of your circumstances. You no longer need everything in your external world to be perfect in order for you to pass. You no longer need to control every outcome in order to feel secure. You no longer need constant validation from others in order to feel worthy. Instead, you carry within yourself an unshakable knowing that all is well, that you are exactly where you need to be, that everything is unfolding in perfect timing for your highest good. This inner peace becomes the foundation from which you create your life, and from this foundation, you can only create beauty, harmony, success, and joy. Now, I want to address something that often concerns people when they first hear this teaching. They worry that if they assume everything always works out for them, they will become passive or complacent. They fear that they will stop working hard or stop striving for improvement. Let me assure you that the opposite is true. When you truly believe that everything always works out for you, you become more active, not less active, because your actions are no longer motivated by fear, desperation, or the need to force outcomes. Instead, your actions flow from inspiration, from joy, from the excitement of participating in the wonderful unfolding of your life. The person who assumes everything always works out for them does not sit back and wait for things to happen. They move forward with confidence, knowing that every step they take is supported by the universe. They take risks that fear-based thinking would never allow. They pursue dreams that others consider impossible. They persist through challenges that would stop others in their tracks, not because they are stubborn, but because they know that every challenge is simply part of the journey to their inevitable success. This assumption also does not mean that you will never face difficulties or challenges. It means that when you do face them, you will meet them with an entirely different state of consciousness. Instead of seeing challenges as evidence that life is working against you, you will see them as evidence that life is working for you, preparing you, strengthening you, redirecting you towards something even better than what you originally had in mind. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to prove to yourself that everything indeed does work out for you. Every obstacle becomes a chance to demonstrate your faith in the fundamental goodness and intelligence of life. Every setback becomes a setup for a comeback that exceeds your previous level of success and happiness. This is why I emphasize that you must act as if everything always works out for you, not just think it or hope it or wish it. Acting as if means embodying this truth in your daily life, in your decisions, in your responses, in your interactions with others. It means living from this assumption so completely that it becomes who you are, not just something you believe. When you act as if everything always works out for you, you naturally become more generous because you know there is always enough. You become more patient because you trust in divine timing. You become more loving because you are not protecting yourself from disappointment. You become more creative because you are not limiting yourself to what seems realistic or practical. You become more courageous because you know that even if things do not go according to your original plan, they will work out for your highest good. The ripple effects of this assumption extend far beyond your personal life. When you embody the truth that everything always works out for you, you become a source of hope and inspiration for others. Your faith becomes contagious. Your peace becomes magnetic. Your joy becomes a gift to everyone you encounter. Others will notice that there is something different about you, something they cannot quite put their finger on. They will see that you handle challenges with unusual grace, that you approach opportunities with uncommon confidence, that you treat setbacks as temporary inconveniences rather than permanent defeats. They will witness your life working out in ways that seem almost too good to be true, and they will begin to wonder if perhaps the same could be possible for them. This is how consciousness spreads, my friends. This is how the world is transformed, one person at a time, one assumption at a time, one life at a time. When you truly embody the assumption that everything always works out for you, you become living proof that life is good, that the universe is friendly, that there is intelligence and love operating behind all circumstances. But you must start with yourself. You must be willing to take the leap of faith, to live from this assumption even when your senses tell you otherwise, even when others think you are being unrealistic, even when your past experience seems to contradict what I am telling you. I promise you this. If you will commit to living from this assumption for the next 30 days, if you will act as if everything always works out for you regardless of what appears to be happening in your life, you will begin to see evidence that will astound you. You will begin to experience synchronicities that will amaze you. You will begin to attract opportunities and resources and relationships that will exceed your current imagination. But more than that, you will begin to experience a fundamental shift in your relationship with life itself. You will move from feeling like a victim of circumstances to knowing yourself as a conscious creator of your experience. You will move from reacting to life to responding to life from a place of power and wisdom. You will move from surviving life to thriving in life. This assumption that everything always works out for you is not just a nice philosophy or a positive affirmation. It is a recognition of the truth of your being. You are not separate from life. You are not at the mercy of forces beyond your control. You are consciousness itself, expressing as a unique, magnificent human being. And consciousness always works out for itself because consciousness is all there is. When you truly understand this, when you truly embody this, when you truly live from this knowing, your entire world transforms. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. What once brought fear brings excitement. What once created anxiety creates anticipation. What once felt like struggle feels like adventure. This is the life that awaits you, my friends. This is the life that is your birthright. This is the life that becomes available to you the moment you decide to act as if everything always works out for you. Not tomorrow, not when your circumstances improve, not when you feel more confident or more prepared, but right now, in this very moment. The choice is yours. You can continue to live from the assumption that life is difficult, that success is limited, that disappointment is inevitable, that you must struggle and fight for everything you want. Or you can choose to live from the assumption that everything always works out for you, that life is conspiring in your favor, that every experience is designed to contribute to your growth and happiness and success. I invite you to make this choice consciously, deliberately, courageously. I invite you to step into the assumption that everything always works out for you and to live from this assumption so completely that it becomes your new identity, your new reality, your new life. The moment you make this choice, the moment you begin to act as if everything always works out for you, you will discover that it always has and it always will. This is not something you need to create or achieve or earn. This is something you need to recognize and accept and embody. Everything is always working out for you because you are life itself, expressing in human form. Everything is always working out for you because there is only one consciousness, one intelligence, one love, and you are that. Everything is always working out for you because that is the nature of consciousness, to know itself as good, as whole, as perfect, as eternally expanding into greater expressions of love and joy and beauty. This is your truth, my friends. This is your reality. This is your life waiting for you to claim it, to live it, to be it. Act as if everything always works out for you, and discover that it always does. This secret is encapsulated in 5 powerful words. Be silent anything that you watch them happen. Now you might be wondering, what does it mean to be silent? And how can silence possibly bring about the manifestation of our deepest desires? My dear friends, the silence I speak of is not merely the absence of sound, but a state of being, a profound inner quietude that allows the creative power within you to work its magic. In this silence, you will find the birthplace of all creation. It is the womb of the universe, the void from which all things emerge. When you learn to cultivate this silence, to nurture it within yourself, you tap into the very source of all that is, was, and ever will be. But let me be clear, this is not a passive silence. It is not a state of inaction or resignation. No, the silence I speak of is alive, vibrant, and pulsing with creative energy. It is a silence filled with the certainty of your desire fulfilled. A silence pregnant with possibility. Imagine, if you will, a seed planted in the earth. Does it make a sound as it grows? Does it announce its intentions to the world? No, it grows in silence, pushing through the soil, reaching for the sun, all without a whisper. And yet in that silence, a miracle unfolds. From a tiny seed emerges a mighty oak, a beautiful flower, or a bountiful fruit tree. Your desires, my friends, are like that seed. They do not need to be shouted from the rooftops or constantly verbalized. In fact, the more you speak of them, the more you rob them their power. Instead, plant them in the fertile soil of your imagination, water them with the certainty of their fulfillment, and then be silent. Allow them to grow in the secret, sacred space of your inner world. This silence is not about suppressing your desires or denying their existence. On the contrary, it's about giving them the space and energy they need to manifest. When you constantly speak about what you want, when you continually focus on the lack of it in your life, you're essentially telling the universe, this is what I don't have. And the universe, in its infinite wisdom, continues to reflect that lack back to you. But when you plant your desire in silence, when you nurture it in the quiet certainty of its fulfillment, you're sending a different message. You're saying to the universe, this is already mine. It is done. And the universe has no choice but to conform to this new reality you've created within yourself. Let me share with you a story that illustrates this principle. There was once a man who desperately wanted a promotion at work. He talked about it constantly, telling anyone who'd listened about how much he deserved it, how hard he had worked, and how unfair it was that he hadn't received it yet. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and still the promotion eluded him. Then one day he heard these very words we're discussing today. He decided to try a different approach. He stopped talking about the promotion altogether. Instead, he went into the silence of his imagination. There he saw himself sitting in the new office, felt the pride and satisfaction of his new position, heard the congratulations of his colleagues. He lived from the end, experiencing the fulfillment of his desire as a present fact. In his outer world, he continued to work diligently, but he no longer spoke of the promotion. He no longer complained about not having it. He simply knew in the depths of his being that it was already his. And do you know what happened? Within a month, he was called into his boss's office and offered the very position he had been imagining. This, my friends, is the power of silence. It is the power of living from the end, of experiencing your desire fulfilled in the inner world of imagination. For when you do this, when you truly embody the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the outer world has no choice but to reshape itself to match your intent. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, isn't this just positive thinking? Isn't this just another version of the power of positive thought? And to that I say emphatically no. This is not mere positive thinking. This is not about trying to consult that something good might happen. This is about knowing with absolute certainty that what you desire is already yours. You see, in the realm of imagination, there is no future. There is only the eternal now. When you enter into the silence of your imagination and experience your desire as fulfilled, you are not hoping for a future event. You are experiencing a present reality. And it is this present experience, this living from the end, that has the power to reshape your world. Let me explain further. The world you see around you, the circumstances of your life, are nothing more than the outpicturing of your estates. Your consciousness is the only reality. Everything else, your job, your relationships, your financial situation, these are all shadows, reflections of what you hold to be true in your imagination. So when you enter into the silence and live from the end, experiencing your desire as fulfilled, you are quite literally changing your world from the inside out. You are impressing upon the subconscious mind a new concept of self, a new pattern of thinking and being. And your subconscious mind, which knows no difference between what is vividly imagined and what is actually experienced in the outer world, begins to work tirelessly to bring about the conditions that match this new self-concept. This, my dear friends, is why silence is so powerful. In silence, you are free from the limitations of your current circumstances. In silence, you are free from the doubts and fears that may plague your waking mind. In silence, you are free to be, to experience, to live as the person who has already achieved their heart's desire. But let me be clear, this silence, this living from the end, is not a one-time event. It's not something you do once and then sit back and wait for results. No, it is a state of being that you must return to again and again until it becomes your natural way of existing in the world. Think of it like this. If you were to plant a seed and then immediately after see if it had grown, what would happen? The seed would never have the chance to take root, to sprout, to grow into the magnificent plant it was meant to be. In the same way, if you enter into the silence, experience your desires fulfilled, and then immediately return to your old patterns of thinking and speaking, constantly checking to see if your desire has manifested, you rob it of the very energy it needs to come into being. Instead, you must trust in the process. You must have faith in the power of your imagination. You must know with every fiber of your being that what you have experienced in the silence of your imagination is more real, more true than anything you can see or touch in the outer world. This brings us to another crucial aspect of being silent, letting go. Once you have planted the seed of your desire in the fertile soil of your imagination, once you have lived from the end and experienced it as fulfilled, you must let it go. Release it into the hands of the universe, trusting that the same power that turns an acorn into an oak tree, that turns a caterpillar into a butterfly, will bring your desire into manifestation. This letting go is not about forgetting your desire or no longer wanting it. It's about releasing the anxiety, the doubt, the need to control how and when it will come about. It's about surrendering to the wisdom of the universe, knowing that it has infinite ways of bringing about what you desire, ways that your limited human mind could never conceive of. Remember, the universe is not constrained by what you consider possible or probable. It operates according to laws that transcend human understanding. Your job is not to figure out how your desire will manifest. Your job is simply to live from the end, to be the person who already has what they desire, and to trust in the perfect unfolding of divine timing. Now, some of you might be wondering, but Neville, what if I have multiple desires? What if there are many things I want to manifest in my life? And to that I say, wonderful. The creative power within you is limitless. It is not constrained by time or space or the number of desires you hold in your heart. However, I would caution you against trying to focus on too many things at once. Remember, the power lies in your ability to live from the end, to fully embody the feeling of your desire fulfilled. This becomes more challenging when you're juggling multiple desires. Instead, I suggest you focus on one primary desire at a time. Choose the one that, if fulfilled, would have the greatest positive impact on your life. Then enter into the silence and live from the end of that desire fulfilled. As you do this, you may find that many of your other desires naturally fall into place. For when you change your concept of self at a fundamental level, every aspect of your life begins to shift to align with this new self-concept. Let's delve deeper into this concept of living from the end. What does it really mean to live after your desire is already fulfilled? It means assuming the feeling, the state of consciousness of the person who already has what you desire. If your desire is for financial abundance, then in the silence of your imagination, feel the peace and security that comes with having more than enough. Feel the joy of being able to buy what you want when you want. Feel the satisfaction of being able to help others, to give generously. Embody these feelings so completely that when you open your eyes and return to your trance, if your desire is for a loving relationship, then in your imagination, feel the warmth of your partner's embrace. Feel the joy of shared laughter, the comfort of deep understanding. Feel the satisfaction of giving and receiving love freely and fully. Let these feelings permeate your being so completely that you carry the energy of love with you wherever you go. If your desire is for a successful career, then in your inner world, feel the pride of achievement. Feel the satisfaction of doing work you love. Feel the respect and admiration of your colleagues. Embody these feelings so thoroughly that you begin to carry yourself with the confidence and poise of someone who is already successful. The key here is feeling. Your feelings are the secret to your power. They are the language of the subconscious mind, the fuel that powers your manifestations. When you can genuinely feel as though your desire is fulfilled, when you can maintain that feeling regardless of your outer circumstances, you have mastered the art of creation. Now I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, this sounds like self-deception. Aren't we just fooling ourselves? And to that I say emphatically no. You are not deceiving yourself. You are aligning yourself with a higher truth, a deeper reality. You see, my dear friends, time is an illusion. The future you desire already exists in the infinite now of imagination. When you enter into the silence and live from the end, you are not creating something new. You are simply choosing to experience a reality that already exists. Think of it like this. I imagine you are in a dark room and there's a light switch on the wall. The electricity, the potential for light is already there. It exists whether the switch is on or off. When you flip the switch, you're not creating the light. You're simply choosing to experience it. In the same way, when you live from the end in your imagination, you're not creating your desire. You're choosing to experience it, to align yourself with it. This is why being silent is so crucial. When you constantly talk about what you want, when you focus on the lack of it in your life, you're essentially keeping the light switch off. You're choosing to experience the reality of not having. But when you go into the silence, when you live from the end and feel the joy of your desire fulfilled, you're flipping that switch. You're choosing to experience the reality where your desire is already manifest. Now I want to address something that many of you may be struggling with. You might be thinking, but Neville, I've tried this. I've imagined my desire fulfilled. I've tried to feel it real, but nothing has changed. What am I doing wrong? My dear friends, if this is you, I want you to know that you're not alone. Many people struggle with this at first. The key lies in persistence and in truly understanding what it means to live from the fan. You see, living from the end is not about visualizing your desire for a few minutes each day and then returning to your old patterns of thinking and being. It's about a fundamental shift in your self-concept. It's about becoming, in your imagination and in your feeling, the person who already has what you desire. This takes practice and dedication. It takes a willingness to challenge your old beliefs and patterns of thinking. But most of all, it takes faith. Faith not in some external power, but in the creative power of your own imagination. Remember, your imagination is not separate from reality. It is the very substance of reality. The world you see around you was once only imagined. Every invention, every work of art, every human achievement began as a seed in someone's imagination. Your desires are no different. They are the seeds of your future reality, waiting to be planted in the fertile soil of your imagination and nurtured in the silence of your being. So if you've been struggling, I urge you not to give up. Return to the silence. Go deeper into the feeling of your desire fulfilled. Make it more real, more vivid, more alive within you. And most importantly, persist. Persist in the face of every contrary appearance in your outer world. For it is your persistence, your unwavering faith in the reality of your amadat that will ultimately bring it into manifestation. Now let's talk about another crucial aspect of this process, detachment. When I say be silent, anything that you wish will happen, the silence I'm referring to also includes a detachment from the how and when of your manifestation. You see, many people make the mistake of trying to control every aspect of their manifestation. They imagine their desire fulfilled, but then they start worrying about how it will come about. They start trying to manipulate people and circumstances to bring about their desire. But this is a form of doubt. It's a lack of faith in the power of your imaginal act. True silence, true faith means letting go of the need to control. It means trusting that the same intelligence that keeps your heart beating, that grows your hair and nails, that maintains the perfect balance of life on this planet, is more than capable of bringing your desire into manifestation in the perfect way and at the perfect time. This detachment is not indifference. It's not about not caring whether your desire manifests or not. Rather, it's about being so certain of its manifestation that you no longer feel the need to manipulate or control. It's about resting in the absolute knowing that what you have experienced in your imagination is more real than anything in your outer world, and that your outer world must, by law, conform to this inner reality. Let me give you an example to illustrate this point. Imagine you've ordered a package online. Once you've placed the order, do you sit by your mailbox day and night, worrying about whether the package will arrive? Do you call the shipping company every hour to check on its status? Of course not. You trust that the package is on its way. You go about your life knowing that it will arrive at the perfect time. This is the kind of detachment I'm talking about. Once you place your order with the universe by living from the end in your imagination, let it return. Trust that it's on its way. Go about your life from the state of consciousness of someone who already has what they desire. Now, this doesn't mean you become passive. You still take inspired action when it presents itself. But this action comes from a place of being, not from a place of lack or need. It's the natural expression of the new you, the you that is living from the end. Let's delve deeper into this concept of inspired action. When you're truly living from the end, when you fully embody the state of consciousness of having your desire fulfilled, you'll find that opportunities and inspirations naturally come to you. These are not actions you force or plan. They arise spontaneously from your new state of being. For instance, if you're living from the end of being financially abundant, you might suddenly feel inspired to start a new business venture. If you're living from the end of being in a loving relationship, you might feel moved to join a new social group where you'll meet like-minded people. These inspirations are your new state of consciousness expressing itself in your outer world. The key is to follow these inspirations without attachment to the outcome. You're not taking these actions to make your desire happen. You're taking them because they're the natural expression of who you now are in your imagination. This brings us to another important point, the role of action in this process. Some people misunderstand the principle of living from the end and think it means they should do nothing in their outer world. They believe that if they just imagine enough, their desire will magically appear without any effort on their part. But this is not what living from the end means. Living from the end doesn't negate action, it informs action. When you're truly living from the end, your actions naturally align with your desired state. You begin to act like the person who already has what you desire. If you're living from the end of being a successful author, for example, if you'll sit around waiting for a book to magically appear with your name on it, you write, you edit, you submit your work to publishers, but you do all of this from the state of consciousness of already being a successful author. You're not writing to become an author, you're writing because you are an author. This subtle shift in consciousness makes all the difference. It takes the struggle out of your actions. It aligns you with opportunities that support your new state of being. It allows you to act with confidence and certainty, knowing that you're not working towards your desire, but from your desire already fulfilled. Now, I want to address something that many of you may be grappling with. You might be thinking, but Neville, what about the evidence of my senses? How can I live from the end when everything in my outer world tells me that my desire is not yet fulfilled? This, my dear friends, is where faith comes in. Not blind faith, not wishful thinking, not faith, but faith based on understanding. Understanding that your senses show you the world that was, not the world that is becoming. Understanding that your imagination is the true substance of reality, and that what you see in your outer world is simply the shadow cast by your inner states. Your senses are wonderful servants, but they make poor masters. They can only show you what has been, what has already manifested. But your imagination shows you what can be, what is in the process of becoming. When you live from the end, when you experience your desire as fulfilled in your imagination, you are seeing with the eye of faith. You are perceiving a reality that your physical senses cannot yet detect, but which is nonetheless real and in the process of manifesting. This is why silence is so crucial. In the silence of your imagination, you are free from the limitations imposed by your senses. You are free to experience your desire as fulfilled, regardless of what your outer world is showing you. But make no mistake, this is not about denying your current reality or pretending that things are different than they are. It's about understanding that your current reality is the result of past thoughts and beliefs, and that by changing your inner state, you set in motion the forces that will change your outer world. Think of it like this. Your outer world is like a mirror, reflecting back to you your innermost thoughts and beliefs. When you change what's being reflected, your inner state, the reflection must change. It has no choice. This is law. So when your senses tell you that your desire is not yet fulfilled, don't argue with them. Don't try to convince yourself that what you're seeing isn't real. Instead, thank your senses for showing you what has been, and then return to the silence of your imagination where you can experience what will be. This is the true meaning of faith. It's not about believing despite evidence to the contrary. It's about knowing that the evidence of your imagination is more real, more substantial than anything your physical senses can show you. Now let's talk about something that many of you may be struggling with, the concept of time in relation to your manifestations. When I say be silent, anything that you wish will happen, many of you might be wondering, but when will it happen? How long do I have to wait? My dear friends, these questions, while natural, come from a misunderstanding of the nature of time and manifestation. You see, in the realm of imagination, there is no time. There is only the eternal now. When you truly live from the end, when you fully embody the state of your desire fulfilled, you're not waiting for anything to happen. It has already happened in the only place it ever could happen, in your consciousness. The appearance of your desire in your outer world is not the manifestation. It's merely the shadow, the outer reflection of what has already occurred within you. The true manifestation, the real creation, happens the moment you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and believe in its reality. From this perspective, there is no waiting. There is only being. Being the person who already has what you desire. Living from that state of consciousness. Allowing your outer world to catch up with your inner knowing. This is why patience is so important in this process. Not the kind of patience that comes from gritting your teeth and enduring until something happens, but the patience that comes from absolute knowing. The kind of patience you have when you've planted a seed. You don't stand over it, demanding that it grow faster. You trust in the natural process of growth, knowing that in its own perfect timing, the seed will sprout and grow into a magnificent plant. Your desires are like that seed. Once planted in the fertile soil of your imagination and nurtured with the feeling of their fulfillment, they will manifest in your outer world in their own perfect timing. Your job is not to make them grow faster, but to maintain the state of consciousness of already having them. This brings us to another important point, the concept of revision. Sometimes, despite our best efforts to live from the end, we find ourselves slipping back into old patterns of thinking and being. We might have moments of doubt, or we might react to our current circumstances in ways that contradict our desired state. When this happens, it's crucial not to blame yourself or to see it as a failure. Instead, use the power of revision. At the end of each day, review the events of your day in your imagination. If there were any moments where you reacted from a state of lack or limitation, revise them. See yourself responding from the state of your wish fulfilled. Feel how you would have felt, thought how you would have thought, if your desire was already manifest. This practice of revision serves two purposes. First, it reinforces your desired state of consciousness, helping you to more consistently live from the instinct. Second, it literally rewrites your subconscious memories. Remember, your subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what you actually experience. By revising your day in your imagination, you're literally changing your past, and in doing so, changing the trajectory of future. Now, I want to address something that many of you may be concerned about. You might be thinking, but Neville, isn't this selfish? Shouldn't I be focusing on helping others rather than manifesting my own desires? My dear friends, this is a common misconception, but it couldn't be further from the truth. You see, when you live from the end, when you embody the state of consciousness of your desire fulfilled, you become more, not less. You expand your capacity to give, to love, to serve. Think about it. If your desire is for financial abundance and you successfully manifest that abundance, aren't you in a better position to help others? If your desire is for radiant health and you manifest that health, aren't you better able to care for those around you? If your desire is for a fulfilling relationship and you manifest that relationship, don't you have more love to share with the world? You see, manifesting your desires is not about greed or selfishness. It's about becoming the fullest, most expanded version of yourself. It's about aligning yourself with the abundance of the universe so that you can be a channel for that abundance to flow to others. Moreover, when you master this principle of living from the end, you gain the ability to help others in profound ways. You can teach them this principle, showing them how to transform their own lives. You become a living example of what's possible when one aligns themselves with the creative power of their imagination. So never feel guilty about focusing on your desires. Your desires are not random. They are the universe speaking to you, showing you the direction of your growth and expansion. By fulfilling your desires, you are fulfilling your purpose, becoming more of who you truly are. And in doing so, you naturally uplift those around you. Now, as we near the end of our time together, I want to leave you with a challenge. For the next 30 days, I want you to commit to living from the end of your most cherished desire. Choose one desire, the one that resonates most deeply with you, and for the next 30 days, live as though it were already fulfilled. Each night before you go to sleep, enter into the silence of your imagination. See yourself in the scenario of your desire fulfilled. Feel the feelings you would feel if your desire were already manifest. Experience it with all your senses. Make it as real and as vivid as you possibly can. Then carry that feeling with you throughout your day. No matter what your outer circumstances show you, maintain the inner knowing that your desire is already yours. Be silent about it. Don't speak of it as something you want or need. Live from the state of already having it. If you find yourself slipping back into old patterns of thinking or being, don't berate yourself. Simply revise those moments in your imagination. See yourself responding from the state of a wish fulfilled. At the end of these 30 days, you will be amazed at the changes that have occurred, not just in your outer world, but in your inner world as well. You will have developed a new habit of consciousness, a new way of being in the world. Remember, my dear friends, you are not bound by your past or by your current circumstances. You are bound only by your imagination and your willingness to live from the state of your wish fulfilled. The power to change your life, to manifest your heart's desires, lies within you. It always has, and it always will.